Good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for joining our session today. It's wonderful to see so many faces here that are ready to explore the world of economics and the pressing issue of sustainability. Without further ado, let's begin our discussion. Today, we'll talk about and understand the WEF, Water Energy Food Nexus, and Computable General Equilibrium Model, CGE. So before we start, I would like to pose some question to the audience. Do you think that the burning of fossil fuel will lead to economic growth? Or could a world without economic growth would actually reduce the carbon emission? And is it possible to find a balance between economic growth and the requirement of sustainability at the same time? So as we ponder all these questions, right, it's important to recognize that economic growth and the sustainability issue are not mutually exclusive. In fact, they are deeply interconnected. A degrowth strategy was established by Austrian French, a social philosopher called Andrew Gause in 1972. So he believed that the downscaling of production and consumption would increase the human well-being and enhances the ecological condition at the local and global level in the short and long term. Now, the degrowth debate has accelerated at that time because of the increasing awareness about the climate change. So if the economic growth continue to be a default goal, it can actually lead to climate catastrophe, where we have no hope of limiting the global warming to 1.5 degrees Celsius. So if you can see from the slide, a degrowth strategy could actually cut the carbon emission by 2050 more deeply than alternative economic growth strategy. However, there are a lot of challenges and criticism of degrowth. So limit the growth of economy could lead to recession like job losses, financial hardship for many individuals and businesses, and difficulty in transitioning from a growth-oriented model to degrowth, especially given to this current global economic system, is impossible because we usually prioritize competition and expansion. And it will also impact the consumer welfare by lowering the standard of their living because of lesser choices and also lesser satisfaction from the consumer. In view that the growth has many challenges, it's not a long-term solution to address climate change. However, normal economic growth could actually create issues such as scarce of natural resources and also inequality in the distribution, especially in the water, energy, and food sector. Hence, I think the concept of WEF Nexus is very important because by implementing WEF Nexus, we can understand the synergy and trade-off between the competing uses of water, land, and energy-related resources. The WEF Nexus approach also connects the stakeholder coming from different sectors to improve the resources use and the sustainable development. I think this is very relevant in solving our challenges today, which are also interlinked and multilateral and multidisciplinary, which require transformative approaches. If you can see from the slide, the water is used for water cleaning, energy for water consumption, and also can be used for cooking and storage. Hence, they are interlinked with each other. WEF Nexus is also a tool to combat environment degradation by addressing climate action and achieving some of the sustainable development goals, especially in Goal 1, poverty eradication, Goal 2, zero hunger, Goal 6, provision of water and sanitation, Goal 7 and 8, access to affordable, reliable energy, and also sustainable economic growth. Next, I will talk about the relationship between the WEF nexus and the economic system. If you can see from the slide, the green circle representing the environmental system, followed by the black circle is the economics system, where the capital and labor will actually determine the gross output of the WEF sector. And the trade relation actually define how far the WEF sector are actually embedded into the current globalized economy. And you can see from the outside of the circle, it also mentioned about the management of the WEF should be based on the characteristic of the governance, meaning the governance is also important in also helping and implementing WEF Nexus together with other stakeholders. So how the GCE works? So for GCE is a tool that combines the economic theory with real-world data to study about the impact of the structural changes, especially the changes in productivity pattern and exogenous shock, especially like climate-related disaster on economic system. It will also give opportunity for us to test the alternative policy to mitigate all these issues. And CGE is also adopting the principle from Solo model, which it has the structural equation which describe the behavior of agent, namely government, G, private household, and the firms. It also providing a framework to stimulate the policy changes and trace the impact of the key economics variables such as income and expenditure flow. So for the methodological approaches where integration of WEF Nexus and CGE started with the data integration, where at this stage, we will have to combine the data set from different sectors to build a comprehensive model. This involves gathering the quality data from the water usage, energy consumption, and food production. After that, we will calibrate the model by adjusting the model to fit it into the real-world data. I think the calibration is very important to ensure that the model is accurately reflecting the interaction between the WEF sector and the economics system. So lastly, it will also help to develop some scenario to analyze the potential outcome. For example, this includes setting baseline scenario without any policy changes or with policy scenario to assess their impact on the WEF Nexus to see which are the best way to implement in that particular for the particular WEF sector and economics. There are a lot of advantages to integrate CGE model into WEF Nexus. The first one is that CGE model provide holistic view of the economic by capturing the interdependency between different sectors. This is very important for understanding how changes in water, energy, and food can actually impact to the broader economy. Next, it can also act as a policy impact evaluation tool for the policymaker to evaluate the impact of the various policy of the WEF Nexus. For example, government can simulate the effect of water pricing, energy subsidy, agriculture policy, helping to identify the most effective strategy for the sustainable resources management. It can also act as a scenario analysis to run multiple scenarios to assess the potential outcome of different policy choices and external shocks such as climate change. This can help the government in preparing for future uncertainty and help them to make an informed decision to enhance resilience across the WEF sector. So GCE model can also help to understand the trade-off of synergy between the economic growth and environmental sustainability. By doing so, we can identify how environmental constraints like water scarcity might limit the economic activity, and we can suggest ways to mitigate the impact. And lastly, GCE model can also endogenize technological advancement by capturing how all this innovation in water efficiency, renewable energy, and sustainable agricultural practices can actually influence the WEF Nexus. This will help to highlight the role of technology to increase to achieve the sustainable development goal. There are a lot of economics benefit by implementing WEF Nexus with CGE model. So we can increase our productivity, enhance our output, and expand our industrial product. So it will eventually lead to our economy to grow. And it will also improve our household income and consumption. With higher income, household can afford better quality and more nutritious food, and also energy resources and clean water, and last, it will improve their overall quality of life. The other economics benefit is trade advantages, where it can increase the production capacity and allow other countries to export more goods to improve their trade balance and generating foreign exchange revenue. Other economic benefits such as utility and social welfare improvement that can make people to afford more and better goods and services. It can also advance the technology and infrastructure development, because economic growth often leads to increase the investment in technology, which can improve the food production, energy usage, and water management. There are several ways to improve or promote the WEF Nexus that integrate into the CGE model, such as green financing in investment, where we can actually advocate the company or the people to, especially the company, to issue green bond. Green bond is a bond to issue to finance projects that have positive environmental and climate benefits, such as renewable energy installation, water conservation project, and sustainable agricultural practices. And it can also, government can also implement some economic instruments and policy integration, such as subsidy and incentive, by providing financial subsidy for those that practice to enhance resource efficiency and efficient irrigation system and sustainable farming technique. Government can also implement cap and trade system. By implementing cap and trade system for carbon emission and water used to create market-driven solution for resource allocation and pollution reduction. And government can also developing policy that integrated water, energy, food sector to ensure coherence and avoid conflicting objectives. Lastly, I will talk about a successful case study from North Africa. Despite they have issue on various natural resources related to water, energy, and food, but all this, by implementing WEF Nexus and CGE model in their country, they can actually solve some of the sustainability issue. So if you can see from the slide, the diagram show that how different factors like water use, climate change, and social economic trends are connected to predict future food production and economic outcome. It started by analyzing the water demand and climate condition, which affect how much water available for crops. Then the model will simulate the crop growth based on all these conditions. And all this information will fed into the economic model that project for food production, prices, and trade. So finally, other model uses for this projection is that to estimate the broader economic impact, such as changes in GDP, trade balances, up to certain year of times, for example, 2050. This will eventually help the policymaker to understand and the connection between the water, food, and economy, allow them to create better plan for the future. So the policy intervention from North Africa for food is they will increase or decrease the crop area of land in order to counter for yield changes. For energy, it will change by relying more on renewable energy generation, keeping subsidy intact. And for water, it will rely on the alternative sources such as water and improving water efficiency by having a more efficiency irrigation system. All these are through the all these results are implemented from the integration of WEF Nexus and the Computable General Equilibrium Model CGE. So to conclude, I would like to say that CGE model and the WEF Nexus can work towards to solve a lot of sustainability issue, especially in water, energy, and food sector. That's all from me. Thank you.